next guest, a very talented actor you know from shows like The Mick, The Righteous Gemstones, and Rooster. He stars in Running Point. The second season is streaming April 23rd on Netflix. Let's take a look.
I'll tell the producers that we can't shoot here anymore.
Thank you. Thank you. Yo, driving through the old hood. Figured I'd just pop in.
You live 45 minutes away.
Not a thing. How my two favorite queens doing, huh? Should we make some mojitos? Have a kiki?
Are you wearing makeup?
Charlie, my diva, have a kiki?
Stop saying Kiki, okay? There's no cameras here.
You serious? I went through full glam for this. It's like $400.
Oh my God.
I gotta go.
They did a terrible job. Are your kids in the car?
It's fine. They have their tablets.
Oh my God.
Please welcome to the show, Scott MacArthur, everybody. I'm so happy you're here.
Well, thank you for having me.
We have known each other for a very long time. My brother and your brother were roommates in Los Angeles at a bad house.
It was a good comedy house.
It was a good comedy house. It was very funny people. A lot of wonderful times were had there. I remember once saying about it, it was one of the few places they couldn't get rid of the rats because the rats' names were on the lease.
That's true.
That's what it felt like.
The rats paid the rent. The rats did the grocery shopping.
But so we know a lot of the same people, and yet I feel like we kind of missed each other. Like right when I was sort of moving out here full time, that was when you were moving from Chicago to LA.
Yeah, we missed each other by a couple months. I think you came to New York to do SNL.
Yep.
And then I moved in. I've always thought of myself as Seth 2.0.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but kind of like the Terminator 2, but the technology went backwards.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So more like Seth 0.2.
0.2.
Yeah.
I'm not a numbers guy, Seth, so I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's like I came out of the machine and it was like, hey guys, I'm your new roommate. And they were like, oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time we met?
I do. I was living in the bad house.
Yeah.
And you came to town, and all you guys were going out to dinner at a restaurant called Genghis Cohen.
Yep, a very, very wonderful Chinese restaurant.
Unbelievable. It was around the corner from the house. And I remember, what I specifically remember that meal is, it was you, it was my brother Hayes, your brother Josh, Ike Barinholtz, Dave Stassen, and I just remember you guys were so quick, and it was just like pop, 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 pop. And I just sat there silently, which is rare. And I remember thinking in the middle of the meal, like looking around the restaurant and just thinking, I can't keep up with these guys, but maybe I can work here.
Oh.
And, yeah.
You almost applied to be a busboy at Genghis Cohen.
I might have filled out the application.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but
it's worked out very well. And again, I'm very lucky to know your family. I was at your brother's wedding. You were the best man. Ike Barinholtz spoke at the rehearsal dinner. Incredibly funny guy.
Super funny, crushed the toast, brought the house down. And I knew that he knew he did because instead of handing the microphone back to me, he crushed it. He shook his head twice, and he just flipped the microphone over his shoulder. It hit me in the chest, and then I had to sit there, and I was like, thank you, Ike. Yeah, that was a crazy weekend.
It was a crazy weekend. It was a great weekend. It's really funny because, of course, Ike's brother, Johnny, also came out. He's an accomplished actor. I remember you came out. And it's funny when, like, younger siblings come out to L.A., because, you're like, all right, great, they're going to try too. And it's been amazing how successful you've all been. But the early days are not success-filled. Can you talk about your headshots, your first headshots in LA?
Yes. It's funny that, so when I got out there, look, there's a couple words you don't want to ever hear from somebody.
Okay.
And they are, hey, I got a guy who owes me a favor.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that doesn't scream they're skilled.
No. So I was with my manager, who I'm still with today, and Brady said to me, he said, hey, I got a guy who owes me a favor, and he's going to take your headshots for free.
Great.
I said, great.
These are not cheap headshots. This is
No,
a big deal.
oh my God, it was like a couple $100,
Yep.
right? And then you have to have them printed. It was before the computer. It was,
Someone would have to etch it into stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd have to bring all the stones with you.
Yeah. If your smile was off, they'd like Joker your smile, like, yeah. But so I called the guy and he said, "Oh yeah, man, I'll take your shots." He's like, "Let's meet at Jamba Juice tomorrow morning at 9 a.m." And I said, "Great."
Yeah.
So I remember I was driving my brother's car. I still hadn't had a car, and I was thinking, I was like, "Why are we meeting at Jamba Juice?
Yeah.
This is weird." Like, I was like,
Maybe
maybe
meet at a coffee place. That'd
Yeah.
be a Jamba Juice.
I was like, well, he's a juice guy. And we get there, he's got his camera out, and I walk in, he's like, "Hey, perfect." He's like, "So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna shoot you in front of this blue wall, and then I'm gonna shoot you in front of this yellow wall." And I'm like, "Are we doing the shots here?" And he goes, "I like the walls. You know, the walls are all different." I said, "Oh, okay." And he looks at me and he goes, "I want you to wear a red shirt." And I said, "Well, I don't have a red shirt. You know, I probably have like one shirt with me."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Here, do this." And he just pops off his red T-shirt. And
Is this an operational Jamba Juice or like people there for juice?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I could tell because everybody who was waiting in line for their juice is looking at me like, this poor bastard.
Yeah.
You know? And so I pop on his red T-shirt and we proceed to shoot for an uncomfortably long period of time, maybe 3 hours.
Now, I will say, now I know this is a Jamba Juice. If I would have seen that, I'm like, that's good. I like that. They do have different.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. I mean,
Yeah. Well, this was very creative. If you can see, that's actually a corner
Yeah.
where the yellow wall and the green wall meet. So, and I believe the direction on this one was, "Give me that big smile."
yeah. And
That's-
then you got a lot of work, but almost exclusively in Jamba Juice commercials.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping I get a gift card from Jamba Juice after this.
I would hope so.
Yes.
This is great. I mean,
Yes.
although they're probably like, oh, everybody's going to come to take headshots here now.
Yeah.
Congrats on Running Point. This is a show about a fictional LA basketball team and the siblings who are sort of running the team. You, Kate Hudson, others. Do you have a sibling vibe on set?
Right away.
Yeah, really? From the
Yeah,
jump?
Right away. Well, first I got the call from Ike and Dave, and they said, "Hey, we're making this show with Mindy, and we want to know if you want to play Kate Hudson's brother."
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like Major League. I got a guy on the other line for some drywall. you know? I was like, yeah, of course. So, we go through the process and we do the table read and everything. And the first day, I knew it was going to work right away in terms of, well, hopefully it works. But I knew it had a chance right away when I got to set. And, you get nerves. It's like, I always tell my kids, it's like going to school for the first day at a new school.
Yep.
You don't know who you're going to sit with, and you don't know, who you're going to connect with, and I always tell them, just smile and be kind and be present. And so I'm doing that, and I look across the set, and I see Kate, and Kate's in her chair, and she's like this, and she's just like really honed in on me, and I go, I'm like, okay. So I walk over, and I say, "Hey, is everything okay?" And she goes, "You know what I think? I think your face is too big for your head." And I was like, "Oh." And she's like, "Scotty, do you know what I mean?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's like when you're a kid and you're cold and your dad gives you his sport coat and you're just like hanging off." And, and she's like, "Yes." And then right as that's happening, I hear over my shoulder, I hear Ike go, "If you think his face is weird, wait till you see his body." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Do you have a weird body?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a weird body."
So Kate took fashion issue with the recent. You did a Q&A about the show. These are lovely. People come, ask questions. And all right, so this is how you were dressed. No socks. I mean, this is a real
Not
choice.
the response I was going for.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
So she noticed, because it was obviously really clear that you weren't wearing socks. What was her advice to you when she saw you weren't wearing socks?
She told me to go home. Right before the lights went down and the screening started, it was a beautiful theater, the Egyptian Theater. It's a historic place in Los Angeles. She looked across the aisle. I was sitting like this, as you do. My kids were there, first time they've ever come to a premiere with me, my wife. And she leans over the wall and she goes, Scotty. And I just look and she went, "No socks." And I went, "Oh, yeah, I literally actually just forgot to wear socks.
yeah.
You know? I thought I had blue ones. I didn't. So I was like, forget it. I won't wear socks. And then she goes, Kate. My wife's also named Kate. My wife leans forward. She goes, what? And she goes, how could you let him leave the house like that? And Kate's like, and then she goes, go home. I was like, what? She's like, go home now. So when we did the Q&A, I had to own the situation.
Yeah.
So I went up.
Yeah.
And I really leaned into it.
Yeah, I think that, by the way, I think owning it like this is better. Now it looks like a choice, not a guy who forgot socks.
Yeah.
I think that's very smart. That's a very good way to play it.
Yeah, and that shirt I've had for 20 years, and on the way over, I thought it would look cool if I popped the collar. It does not. I know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's gonna have a lot of notes about this
That's
whole
great.
segment.
Well,
yeah.
I'm a big fan of hers as well.
Yes,
So that's.
likewise.
I look forward to what her feedback is. When your brother Hayes was here, we talked about how he played football at Bowdoin.
Yeah.
And he had a granular knowledge of his stats even today.
He was a legend.
He was a legend.
Yeah.
You played a little lacrosse. You played a little hockey in college.
I did. I played on both.
Was this
teams.
the genetics consistent? Were you a legend?
Well, I didn't keep my stats.
Okay. You didn't keep your stats.
No, he kept his stats. He all-time touchdown leader and
Yeah.
every other category you can think of as a quarterback. I didn't keep my stats because I didn't actually play. So
But you were on two teams.
I was on two teams. I was the backup goalie on both teams.
And you never, a backup goalie usually gets in. You never got in a game in all your time in college?
Backup goalies get in. I was the backup.
Oh, I see. I see. There was a second string goalie.
Yeah.
And then there was a backup goalie.
Yeah. I think I was what they might call a way backup.
Okay, gotcha.
No, I did get in. I played in a preseason game. I think it was my sophomore year. You get the nod. You're so excited. And I took a ball. A lacrosse ball is quite hard.
Yeah, they're no joke.
It's vulcanized rubber. And I took a ball off the throat thank you. That's the response. See?
Yeah.
I knew at some point we would get to understand each other. No, I took it off the throat. I collapsed. It hurt. And all I remember when I was on the turf and my esophagus was, smashed into my spine, I just remember hearing my coach from the sideline go, well, I didn't ask him to be a goalie. And at that moment, I kind of like Rocky Balboa'd it. I slowly got up. I'm like, I'm okay. And as I was saying to, my defenseman and, because the guys care, they're like, Scott, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. They're like, oh, he's fine because I already sounded like this. So there was no way that they could know that I was not fine.
Yeah, that's right there. You got the right voice for lacrosse.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, buddy. Congrats on Running Point.
Thank
you guys, Scotty MacArthur, second season, streaming April 23rd on Netflix. We'll be right back.